Okay, so welcome everyone to our today's live webinar with our guest Raju. And at the beginning, as always, I'd like to thank everyone for attending with us today. And it is a session by xpdays. The xpdays is a community that started to expand and talk about extreme programming practices and agile practices. So it's our 35 webinar. We are having these webinars like 3 years now, maybe 2 years. We have some meetups, some live sessions. And today, as always, we have a very special topic and a very special guest. Raju is his first session with us, is helping the community everywhere. He reached out to enrich the community with his experience and with a wonderful session about how to re-engineer sub-projects using domain-driven design and how we can get benefits from it. But it's better to hear it from Raju himself. So Raju, please go on. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Amar. First of all, thank you for hosting me. Everyone, here I have to appreciate the effort taken by xpdays for two things. Everywhere we have so many agile conferences, meetings, people talk about scrum masters, coaches, agile, scaling, but nobody focuses on the engineering practices. They are the backbone, right? So if you get engineering practices right, if you cultivate right kind of practices, teams will do wonderful things. Right. So first for that, I highly appreciate and I'm very happy to be part of XP Days, focusing on XP practices and doing that. And second is for a community which is from spanning from all the way from Middle East to Germany and other parts of the world. That's also a very commendable effort. A small focused group instead of creating much thing on the internet, attracting so much noise, we are talking with clarity. So highly appreciated experience organizers and thanks for the opportunity.
You.
Let's just move on. That's a brief about me. I'm an entrepreneurial agile coach as well as a professional scrum trainer. I work with Zebia. We are a IT services company as well as we do offer servicing and consulting in agile and transformation areas. And I lead our North America practice. So let me start with a small question. Look at all the companies where we are working. Most likely you will see them quite old because they're there for some years. So if you see an organization which is more than 15 plus years old, what type of IT systems do you see? Do you see the IT systems modeled based on line of businesses? Where IT is one function, but it is organized based on line of business. Banking and finance, if you take, for example, one division which caters only to banking applications, another one which caters towards credit cards, something like that. Or these systems are organized and productized. That's the key word here, based on business value, completely going out of your company, looking from a customer perspective into your own organization and trying to model. You can simply say A or B. I can unmute and talk, or you can say in the chat window, whichever is comfortable for you. What do you think? You can answer. You can just type in the chat window or talk, whichever you're comfortable. And if you're familiar with concepts of scaled agile like value stream and all, I'm not even talking about it. Don't worry. It's even non-agile world. Okay. Got few responses. Thank you. Everyone, feel free to participate. This is your platform. Let's have a wonderful time together. I'm okay if you're not on video, you can speak. Unmute yourself and say A or B.
It's here, Raj.
Okay, thank you. I see a few more A's coming and Hazim says B. Excellent. Let's just
How about
understand.
making it a full or a real poll and you have all votes for it?
Yes, I thought of doing it, but anyway, I just want to have more conversations. So I didn't do that because I have
Okay,
an
it's
app also
ready
which
anyway
supports it.
if you would like, and it's
Yeah, you
already
can.
created. Good.
If you have, you can run. Yeah. I
Okay.
like Sarah's answer. Moving slowly towards B. Excellent. There is a poll now. Very good. Kindly, those who shared the answers, you can do it again. Sorry for that. Excellent. We got good responses here, about 6 responses. 4 are saying individual silos supporting line of business. 3 people are saying, okay, now it will become 7. 5 for line of business. Okay. I think that's it. If I exclude myself and Ahmad, okay, then it's okay. Good. Thank you. I'll end the poll. Thank you for your inputs. I shared the results. You can see them. Good. So let's move on. If you look at enterprises, which are a bit older, the answer A that we spoke about, they are designed like this. You'll have line of business, whatever that is. It'll have its own probably technology stacks, its own team, starting all the way from user experience, all the way down to the infrastructure, whatever layers are there in between. Okay. You can clearly see there is a gap. And if every line of business tries to maintain its own IT, you'll have problems. Problems with licensing, problems with infrastructure, duplication of knowledge, duplication of roles, all of that. So how do you build a bridge between them? That's where you have shared services, like operations, your tier L1, L2, L3 support, handled by production support teams. Development, there's one organization which does development. In between, you'll have shared service because most of the companies outsource this, for example, right? So if you're moving to cloud, your cloud is maintained by somebody. Your databases, your operating systems, your servers, your entire infrastructure, right? All of that. So when companies operate like this, we do see a lot of problems. And the presentation that I'm going to do is about an airline, one of the leading, the number one airline in the United States, Delta Airlines. When the pandemic came, you all know what happened, right? Everywhere, every plane was grounded, there was no travel, and there's no revenue. Fortunately, things are resuming back to normal. So this is where the organization saw an opportunity because by the time they started handling the pandemic, a lot of people left. I won't say laid off or something, whatever, loss of business. But this organization did slightly different. They reduced salaries instead of laying out people. That's a good strategy, actually, if you look at. So they started that way, but a lot of people left for whatever reasons it is. So it's a good opportunity to redesign your systems so that you can make them better, serve your customers better. The key challenges with old ones are like this. One is bureaucracy, various levels of approvals. Remember, you want a simple thing in several organizations. You want to change your location. I'm sitting in, say, 10th floor at this cubicle. I want to go to 8th floor. You have to submit a form and your manager has to give a justification. Then only they'll consider even you moving like that, right? Example of bureaucracy. Power dynamics. When you structure your company based on these kind of silos, the tower leader, whatever you call it, the person sitting there, it is their turf, it is their playground. They don't want somebody else to come and take something out from that, right? So you'll have a lot of sunk costs in maintenance, something which is hidden, right? There'll be slow response times, all this. Of course, you can read this. So what is a better future state? Or what could be a better future state? The better future state is a productized organization which is focusing on the value, the business value. That it has nothing to do with scaled agile. Please don't mind. Scaled agile uses the word value stream. This is similar, but it is not that. Supported by the infrastructure and platform. So deliver value. You are here because of that. Your company does business because of that. You buy a product because there's some value in it. That's why we are spending our own hard-earned money on that. Right? So there's a very popular ad in India from a jeweler who says, money doesn't grow on trees. It's absolutely right. It's for everyone. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? It doesn't grow. This is a beautiful law. If you look at how companies are structured, right? How companies are structured, you will find this in 99.9899% of organizations across the world. They are structured according to the style of communication. Every company starts with one or two thought leaders, the enterprise, the executives, the entrepreneurs, the investors, the CEO, somebody, small group, direct communication, things move very fast. But what happens slightly as organization grows? Of course, there's a merit in that. You organize, because you bring structures. You start seeing a hierarchy coming up, right? So there's a law based on given by a gentleman called Mellon Conway. You see, 1968, almost 54 years, 55 years ago, that person came with the law, which is relevant even today. Now let's look at IT. So what happens because of this kind of communication structures? You'll have modular, service-oriented architecture. Trust me, some years ago, service-oriented architecture was like a hotcake in the market. People were flocking, every company, we had to go to SOA like that. They are moving away from it today. Microservices, right? SOA is slowly being phased out, you know that, right? So domain-driven design is a software approach. Since it is there for you to read, I'm not reading every line, okay? So it brings two things. One is you come up with a domain structure. The domain creates a boundary, and within that boundary, you start developing or supporting your products and services, whatever that you're doing, okay? And instead of focusing on technology, you focus on business, right? So like example given there, in a bank, if you're doing loans, that domain loan will have everything to support whatever that business domain is doing, okay? So main goals are right here, like you can see, bring more collaboration between technical and the SME subject matter experts. That's how you break the barriers. We versus them. We versus them, right? IT says we. For them, them is business. Business says we. For them is IT. You have silos. You have to bring both of them to the same platform. So this domain creates a boundary. Okay, you'll understand all of this. Don't worry, I've got a beautiful example for you. So we'll follow through it. So first thing is the context. So you have to set a context. Now this is a logical context. It's not physical, like you put all these people in one building or one floor and say, okay, that is banking division. Only bank people work there. This is credit card division. Only credit card guys, teams work here. No, not like that. It's a logical boundary. Okay, so which can help you to distinguish itself. Okay, what is that I can do? And what is that my neighbor is doing? Neighbor is another domain. So talk to the neighbor. Say this system is there for ages. We human beings do that, right? It's practices which all housewives do all over the world, right? Something they're cooking and suddenly some ingredient is not there. They don't mind knocking on the neighbor's door and say, hey, can you borrow this for you for today? I'll give you something later. Like this barter system is there in generations, is there in cultures across the world, right? So that kind of thing. So from your domain, you talk to the other domain. It's so simple. Okay. So if you look at, we have the sales context, which deals with whatever happens in the sales life cycle, right from opportunity, when somebody knocks the door, and then support. Now, support comes into the picture once somebody buys your product, right? You can clearly see there's a handshake needed between sales and support. Sales life cycle is over, support takes over, right? Like that. So first, you establish clear boundaries. You start constructing domains. So for example, since it's an airline organization, we have a domain called above the wing. That means passengers, whatever. Below the wing, what happens in the ground? Okay, airport operations, cargo, fueling, safety, these kind of things. Okay, so clear demarcation, what each domain does. So you create a context. Now you may think, Raj, what are you talking? Earlier you used the word silos and this is similar. Wait, it is not similar. You will find a difference slightly later. If it is same, there's no need for talking about this, right? We will see. But we have to create the boundary because the boundary helps you plan budgets, manpower, resourcements. What is that we can roll out in this particular planning period? It could be quarterly, it could be half yearly, it could be yearly, whatever it is, right? So you need some boundary. So that boundary comes from this domain. That's why I'm very careful. It's a logical boundary. It's not physical. It's not organizational structures. No, it is just a logical boundary grouping people together. Okay. So one of the main thing that it does, the domain driven design, the bounded context does is, it may surprise you. It tries to build a common language. What is common language? I'm not talking about programming language, just simple terminology. Let's understand, okay? This is from a manufacturing plant, how they make a car, okay? So you can tell now, directly you can tell, which is the first step in this. Is it painting or procuring or delivering or assembling or transporting? Which is the first step? You can talk or type.
Painting.
You have to procure various components. So you need raw materials, right? Without raw materials, how will you produce? So we need various raw materials. Once various raw materials are acquired, yes, Ravi and Saraya, right? Then you go for assembling them. You put bits and pieces together, the final product comes. Once the final product is ready, now exactly, you need components before you paint them, correct? So then paint it, the presentation layer, right? When it goes to the end user, beautifully painted, glazing, all clean, everything like that. But it is at the manufacturing plant. It has to reach a dealer, the last point delivery or something. So you transport it to a dealer and finally the dealer delivers it. Simple steps, okay? So this is the order. Procure the raw material, assemble them, make them ready for consumption, transport them where they are consumed and give it. So here if you look at, this is how it comes. From the manufacturing plant to the transporter, to the dealer, finally to the buyer. Okay, so now we are looking at the complete cycle, right? From the I'm not looking at the various sources from which the manufacturing plant procures the material. I'm not talking about that right now here. It's okay. Our context is within our company. Okay, let's say we are a car manufacturer. Why it is important for us to bring a common language? You'll understand now. See, this is how it comes. For the manufacturing plant, it's a product which they are offering. It's a product, that's it. You take any car manufacturer, anyone, right? So models, each model, the variants, whatever it is, right? It's a product line. In that model, various things are coming like that. Now, for the transporter, he doesn't care which model, what is it. For him, it's a load. So he's worried about capacity, right? So how many vehicles I can load? What is the route in which I have to take them? What are the points? Like, so they do something called milk run. So how does a milkman deliver milk, across various points in his route, right? There's an algorithm for it. If you're interested, you can Google and find it out. These are not just done like that. Okay. Now, for the dealer, it's business. Your dealer sells the vehicle, dealer makes the money. Now, for us, the consumers, it's a need. I need a vehicle, personal transportation, or some may take that as a status symbol. When you go for the big model, I mean, the luxurious model, the BMWs, the Benzes, Rolls Royces, right? So you take them as a status symbol, whatever. But in all these four segments, we are talking about the same thing, which is nothing but a car. So now you can see there are gaps in understanding coming, gaps in terminology. So people interpret in their own ways. It can create some confusion. It can create some chaos. To avoid that, you can see now, we are going to second level. Now we are going to the second level for manufacturing plant bill of material. What should go into this model? We have variants, right? The base model, the mid version, the premium version, like that. So they pick up components based on the model and assembly line. Who works at which station, like that. Then the configuration. For example, majority of the manufacturers today allow you to customize your vehicle. So it is built specifically for you, right? You tell, I want this, I want this. They allow some customization, not the entire thing. So you need to build it. And when it comes to a transporter is worried about what is the final destination, what is the route, what are the weather conditions, like that. When it comes to the dealer, what is the down payment I should put? What are the payment terms? What is the delivery date? Can I deliver by the date or not? Is there an exchange or trading, selling old car and getting a new one? Now for a buyer, mileage and maintenance cost. Of course, for some it is status symbol. They may not consider mileage, but maintenance cost, availability of spare parts, all of them will come into the picture. So when this grows bigger, you will see gaps in understanding. Everybody will not be on the same page, literally. This is where domain-driven design can help all of them to build a common vocabulary. And there's very big advantage by doing that. We will see shortly. Now I'm going more technical. In an XP days and something to talk about engineering practices, I cannot talk without technology. So this talk is more on technology now. So first we set the context boundaries and look at the next line. Just read this line up to this hyphen. So what each bounded context will do is it will expose its services so that other domains can consume. For example, for the transporter to load the car, they should know, oh, how many vehicles I need to load in this trip. Where do they get that information from? They look at the manufacturing plant. The manufacturing plant will create a service which tells this is the load, this many vehicles you have to take in this load, like that. Okay. Similarly, for them internal, get bill of materials. That is not shared with transporter because that is in making a car, right? It is not shared with transporter, but what is shared with transporter, they will expose. So something are internal, some is for other consumers in other domains. Okay. Similarly, once the vehicle is loaded, the transporter will offer tracking facilities to the dealer, even to the buyer also, you can get. For example, if I order a car, most of the systems do that, manufacturers. They tell your car is getting assembled, it is loaded, it is on the way, it will reach the dealer by so and so date, like that, right? So they're not talking about For example, I'm not worried about what are the other cars coming in my trip. I'm only worried about where is my car. So the transporter is not going to share information about other data. He's going to talk only about relevant information, relevant people like that. Similarly, when you go to the dealer, obviously, right, more privacy. My payment options could be different from what Sarah is buying. What Sarah is buying could be different from what Hasim is buying. So that's confidential, right? So we don't expose that to other, but the dealer will start exposing your order is ready. I need documents from you to do the paperwork, registration, whatever is like that. Now for us, the consumers, we have to do the paperwork, pre-delivery inspection, photo with the vehicle, post it on the social media, enjoy the drive. We take the delivery. So when you get into the domain driven model, observe what is there on the top line. Compare with the previous thing, which is here product, load, business, need or status symbol, different terminologies. They all are now called as vehicle, simple car, for example. So you create a perspective about delivering value to your customer by create two things you are doing here. If you see, one is you create a boundary, context boundary, what happens within each domain, and each domain will start exposing its services. So this is where technical and engineering practices are very much required. If you are from old ITIL, there is a word called service catalog there, right? Service catalog contains what is available with various systems, various processes in place in an organization, similar to that. Okay. Once after understanding the boundary and the menu from each domain is offering a menu. Okay, this is what I have. Whomever wants to consume, consume. This is what I have. That is not enough. How does the interactions happen now? 1 minute, there's a person called Ahmed, I'll allow him. Now, how does the interactions happen now? The events, let's see. Okay, so first, little bit of terminology for you. I'll just run through it one by one. Don't worry. Right. First one is an event. See, in a restaurant, the menu is there. Okay. I'm just showing this as a menu. Don't this envelope. Don't worry. I have a menu. It'll be just like that. Nothing happens to the menu, and not automatically items will be placed in the kitchen order. Nothing. Somebody has to come and do something. Like a consumer comes and says, "Okay, I want to eat this." Somebody has to say that, right? So for that, one second, I was getting a call. So for that to happen, we need an event, right? So once an event comes with the data. For example, what is my order? I want this. What is the quantity? Do you have any specific requirement? For example, I want coffee without sugar, something like that. Okay. Then you a command. We're talking about architecture and things more. These are more technical, you know that, right? So a command that triggers, that pulls a service or gives a command to execute a service. But you have certain policies, for example. So I'm a premium customer for the restaurant. My order should be delivered faster, right? Or I'm a first-time customer, hotel is giving a discount for me, something like that. So you have certain policies. These policies ensure that your activities, everything is within the control and no compliance violations or something happen. Then you have some capability component. This is actually a microservice, more technical, right? It's a microservice. So these are certain things which happen here. Now let's understand all of them with an example. So event. A new car order has come. That's an event. What is the data? Data is about information. For example, your vehicle is ready to be assembled. Vehicle is assembled. Vehicle is in transit. That means it is loaded. That is information. Data is nothing but information which talks about an event. Then command. So new order came. What is the next thing I should do? Procure raw materials. What is the policy? when the car is about to be loaded, you should protect it, right? You should protect it. Therefore, 1 minute. Policies, right? So if it is a premium vehicle, you offer something like that. Capability component. For example, a lot of things which are common. Generating the vehicle identification number, this is a microservice, generating the sticker, the window sticker, whatever. Okay. Sub-process. Sub-process, again, does something which is simple, which is reused in multiple places like this. Then this is very interesting. Systems are external system. For example, you have to notify government agency for registration. You have to notify the dealer or buyer telling that your vehicle is loaded, something like that. Okay. And finally, any assumptions, any questions that you have. So once you have the boundary and you identify what are your microservices or things which you are going to offer for both internal and external users, you build a model based on the events, you collect the data, you issue commands following the policy, you build capability components that will be serving certain capabilities. They will be calling sub-processes. You talk with external systems, you validate your questions and assumptions. Okay. So this is how it happens. I'm just giving an example of your entire thing with a car, right? So I want to buy a car, you book a car. So service is called payment service, car is booked. So this is an event, car booked is an event, car received by dealer is an event. You see data, for example. So when I want to book a car, I should tell what is my name, what is my address. Then when car is booked, I may convey what is my preferred delivery date. For the dealer, licensing details. And here they will be talking to external agency, the government, road transport departments, whatever, motor vehicle, whatever you call it. Sharing information about what is the VIN, what is the model, something like that. Okay. So what are policies here? Right? You can see policies. So you need to support preferred delivery date of the buyer. That's inbuilt policy. Similarly, as part of policy, you should offer pre-delivery inspection. Welcome them, give them some gifts. For example, a welcome drink, chocolates. People come with families to buy the car, for example. So make the experience memorable. It's a company policy. Also give little fuel at the beginning. These are all company policies. What are capability components? Payments. Payments can come in various forms. People may pay cash, people may through bank transfers, whatever it is like that, right? So all this is how they interact with each other. So first thing that you should do when you want to go into domain-driven design is after creating the context, identifying the context, you have to create a map of your domain processes. What are they? Okay. So once you have it, you start creating a bounded context. You start creating a bounded context. So the bounded context is nothing but how these are getting consumed. Okay, how you have to connect all these dots together, right? So now the second step is you identify the components and the context. Once it is done, now you get into technical practices. You start building the APIs, you start building the logic model, whatever that you are using, and you start re-engineering your services. That's what you do. Okay. So if you look at this from a bird's eye view, the manufacturer is one domain. They're making the car and serving the dealers to production services. Then making the call, you have events like orders, shipping, sales and delivery, service. These are all capabilities. And within this, you're having order management, payment processing, load planning, route planner, inventory management, service orders, sales orders, and training like this. Okay, so that is what you get. So how you implement this? Now let's move to the last part now. Enough theory. And how are you going to implement this? How are you going to implement this? So to implement this, like I said, first you have to establish business process and identify domains and boundaries, then do event storming, then break down domain and capabilities into capable microservices. This is where you do based on a lot of iterations. Then analyze current applications and decompose them into capabilities. This is where you get the first artifact. And now agile practices will come into the picture. Minimum viable product will come. Kick off the domain process. Now people will start developing, right? And example is increment. You can go with, for example, each sprint or each increment like that, whichever the planning cycle an organization uses. Okay. So here, the core things about domain-driven design is, first one is lot of XP practices. See, when I write code right now, today, that is 2nd of February, in my clock, it is 11:45 a.m. Eastern time. I'm writing code. My brain is thinking like this. Nothing wrong in that. My program is successful. It's written. But there could be a better way to do it. I didn't think about it at now. Naturally, it happens, right? So later I realized there's a better way to do that. So refactoring, making the code much better, very good XP practice. That's an excellent opportunity for you when you're moving from a legacy to this kind of models. Re-engineer or refactor your legacy code so that it's made much faster. It happens, I mean, you can redesign it much better. Also, you create collective code ownership. One more very good advantage is people will start understanding what was done earlier and why it was done, because you have subject matter experts available. So you build wonderful knowledge within the team. In all agile practices, XP is one which highlights very much on technical knowledge, right? Similarly, your daily stand-ups, minimum viable product concept, so that you start getting benefits early and you also validate, is my design correct or something like that. You go for shorter sprints, you go for shorter 2-week sprints, and then ultimately you will start value getting rolled out. This is what we started. It's continuing because, you know, a big enterprise cannot be converted or cannot be transformed from one model of working in terms of just like flipping a light switch. It takes its own time, lot of friction. One domain owner may not like other domain owner, so conflicts, things are happening, but ultimately we're seeing the results. Okay, excellent example for this is during the snowstorm during Christmas or something, another major US airline had a lot of problems, but our customer was not at all impacted. Systems were well engineered, at least till that time. The impact was very, very less. You don't need a better example for value delivery. Happy customers. Competitors are talking about your products. Do you need more? That's the best example, right? That is a brief introduction about domain-driven design. So keep in mind about few things. I'll just quickly show you. We need a context first, and once you identify the context, like I'll just take you there, then you go through event storming, sit with your team, sit with your architect, subject matter expert, design your system for lean and efficient flows. Once you design it, right here, once you design it, start designing your microservices, whatever technology practices that come from XP, leverage all of them, then implement that in a phased manner, right? Once you start implementing them in a phased manner, you build the knowledge, you build capabilities. Now it's time for it to sustain. Okay, so over to you now. Any questions or any thoughts?
So thank you very much, Raj. It's really like a great session with giving like an bird eye view of the whole thing from business, from like distributing a system or breaking it down to multiple domains, to bound context, to even storming, having this all in one session, giving it end to end. I guess it's a very helpful thing that much people just be stuck in one part and they don't like realize the whole process or where's the role in the whole thing. So it's very embracing and insightful. Thank you very much, Raju. Thank you. And I guess we are reaching the end. We'll have questions after we just stop the record. So by the end, I'd like to thank everyone for your attending, guys, for being with us till now from different places. I see people from all around the world. So thank you, Raju. And for next for the following sessions, you can follow us on xpdays.org or any other channel. And the last thing is that we are still opening to have new sessions, new speakers. So anyone of the attendees, if you have any topic that you would like to share with the community, just ping us or send us on a form on our website and we will get back to you. So thank you. I'll just stop the record and we can have your questions.